All right. How are you doing?
Very well. I mean, it's of no interest, I'm sure, to anyone listening to this, but new job is going great. Uh, uh, won't talk about it here, but obviously I've been quite focused on it, where it is a new job and it is very busy. Um, yeah, so that's been great. And I've managed to fit some gaming in, as you. I forget if we chatted lately, but
Not really. No. It's,
uh,
it's so for anyone listening at home, this is actually like the first time in almost a month that we've recorded. We've
yeah.
talked briefly, but yeah, we Matt had some training he had to do for his job, so he was away for a while. So we recorded a bunch of stuff in advance, and yeah. So Easter was the last time we talked.
Easter. Wow, that was a long time ago. So I should be saying like, oh, I beat this game and this happened and this was so awesome. I have been busy, but I did manage to finish Hotel Dusk, which was great.
Yeah. Nice.
It's easier to. I mean, I've been playing games in the shuttle, so I'm going through my library of DS games. Have you played the Contra game on DS?
No.
It's utterly impossible. My God, that's my great discovery this time.
Isn't that like Contra in general?
I find they're getting harder. Like Contra 1, I can beat. You know, I might die a few times or whatever, but I can beat it. Like Super Contra, Super C. A lot of people are like, oh, that game is so hard. That one, maybe just because I owned it when I was little, but I'm sure I'll die if I play it, but I could probably beat it without dying. Maybe on some of
Yeah.
the harder bosses I could die. That one's okay. Super Nintendo, really, really, really hard, like on hard mode, but I have beaten that with a friend and two players on hard mode. The boss is insane. The last level's insane, but after like hours, I've beaten it. This game, I have zero confidence I could ever beat it.
Huh. No. So I've played the original one, and I
Hmm.
remember that there is the Contra code for it, but I don't even think I ever bothered to play it long enough to bother with the Contra code. So
Really, to me, so there's very few two-player cooperative
yeah,
NES games that are like just they really knock it out of the park. And I think that's like, I mean, you could play Contra now and be like, what's the big deal? But I think that was really its selling point, or at least for me. I mean, it was just a fun game to just pop in and go. So yeah, that's another reason I think playing it on DS is kind of like, maybe if I had a group of friends and we were huddled around a TV screen screaming at each other every time we got killed or something.
yeah,
But yeah, that was kind of it wasn't really on my list, but I thought, I might as well, maybe this will be like a quick game I could kind of beat.
yeah,
So I'll play this one, and yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen. How have you been? You're sick now, I think.
yeah, yeah. My voice might be coming through just a little bit more bassy than normal, but
Mm.
so if I end up sneezing into the microphone, I apologize in advance. We'll hopefully be able to just seamlessly mute it. Um, yeah. So I've been busy for the past few weeks. I
Mm.
bought and built a new computer. I've been planning curriculum to teach some Houdini technical direction stuff, scripting. So I'm gonna start recording that pretty soon.
Staying
Um,
busy.
yeah, I finished reading the Untold History of Japanese Game Developers Volume 1 today.
Oh, okay. I thought you had decided you did not like it and had put it down.
No, I put it down because I got to it. I didn't like it at first, but I put it down because I got to a chapter where they warned right at the start that there was going to be spoilers for Suikoden 2. and and I was like in the middle of playing that, so I was like, okay, well, I'm just not gonna read the spoilers for now. I'm gonna wait till I finish the game, which I did. Um,
Excellent.
so yeah, once I finished the game, I was like, okay, time to finish reading the book. Um, so yeah, been busy reading during my commutes, and then
Nice.
finished Suikoden 2, and then my parents came to visit me for my birthday. So
Oh wow.
my dad, he's basically played Duck Hunt, which he hated. As soon as soon as you miss shooting a bird, the dog laughs at you, and he basically wanted to shoot the dog, and when he couldn't, he like refused to ever play a video game again,
Oh
basically.
wow. Of all games that would do it for you, that's wow. You should
Yeah.
play Contra 4.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, he basically played Duck Hunt and probably Mario, and didn't like either of them. And then he did play Panzer Commander, which was
That's
a
funny.
PC game. But he's basically played no video games in his life. But I managed to convince them to play Stanley Parable while they were here.
Okay, wow.
So Stanley Parable is, I believe, the first game that my dad has ever played start to finish.
And he
So
finished it.
yeah, well,
Really?
it's I mean, there's multiple endings and we didn't get all of them, but he got the first ending and then like the next couple endings as well.
Jeez, was this like a like you guys are all playing it together, or was
Yeah.
this like a dad, I'm going to bed, you know,
No, this was
shut it off when you're done?
they came over the first night and I showed my mom the Famicom Mini and we played a little bit of Mario 3 and then the next day that they were here, it's like, okay, I bet out of all of the games that I own and have never played, there's got to be one here that I could convince my parents to play, and I decided that was going to be it, and it went over well. They got a kick out of it. They were laughing at all the narration.
Yeah,
Um,
awesome.
yeah,
Awesome. I guess that's I guess a perk of now that you have a bigger place, or maybe it's maybe this is a bad thing. I don't know, but you can have parental visits and guests and such.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
People
yeah,
over for game night. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I was actually starting to realize that because we were all doing that while the kid was asleep and making noise, and it didn't end up being disruptive at all. And in fact, he did wake up crying at one point, so I went to go console him, and I realized while I was in there and everyone else was playing Stanley Parable that I couldn't hear anyone else at all.
Nice.
The soundproofing and whatnot is good enough that. So I feel confident now that I've been going over to a buddy's place and playing video games typically every Wednesday. And so we played start to finish Mario 3 on my Famicom Mini. But maybe now that I realize that we can make a little bit of noise, might have to start having people over and doing board game nights or something here.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Well, I'm glad. I don't know, your situation's at least better than it was in San Francisco.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had around 300 square feet or less there. So
How is that legal? Like, I don't even. So you have told me multiple times that you had
Yeah.
less space than I had, which I believe you. I do believe you.
Yeah.
San Francisco, I know, is crazy, but like going off my own experience in Vancouver with that little tiny box we lived in.
yeah,
I mean, if you had we had a Murphy bed, if you had
Yeah.
if you had the bed down, and like anything in terms of furniture,
yeah.
you were
You
hopping
know,
over things.
we probably had about the same amount of space. It's
Hmm.
just you had more floor space because of the Murphy bed.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I think we probably had less. It felt like less space just because Andrea and I both have computer desks.
That would
Uh,
probably do it. Like I had this tiny little IKEA
Yeah.
pseudo desk that I kind of shoved into the side, and I sat on the Murphy bed, and my
Yeah.
laptop kind of fit there. I mean,
Yeah.
it was funny now to look back on it because I mean we were on the 17th floor, which is not
Yeah.
the highest in the world, but it just kind of had this nice night view or whatever, so I could sit in the bed and work on stuff, and the city sounds outside were kind of nice, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, times of your life, right?
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was essentially one room, so there was no hope of being able to have someone over while the kid sleeps because we're all in the same room.
Well, do you remember? Again, maybe you guys pulled some similar stuff, but like I had that. My place was officially advertised as a studio, or a studio plus den, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
utter bullshit. If you remember that den, it was
Yeah.
literally a closet. If you remember it,
Yeah.
it was like I guess a slightly spacious closet.
Yeah.
Slightly spacious closet. So I made that if you remember, again, that was my work area. So like when
Yeah.
Key would go to sleep and we were like working on the game and stuff, I would literally huddle in there with my laptop and kind of shutter myself in and work on stuff. And it was like literally working in the closet.
Yeah.
Just crazy. Yeah, with a kid, the kid would lose his mind. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I
insane,
mean, there's countries in the world where people just grow up with that sort of space, So,
Yeah.
if that's what you're raised with, it's gonna seem normal until you go over to a friend's house and they've got a 5-bedroom or something. But
But when you're from Nova Scotia,
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you and I both grew up in a standard house with a yard, so
yeah.
it's hard on us. But no, I mean, we had a spot cleared that it was intended to be his quote unquote bedroom, which was our walk-in closet. But we moved before he ever really got a chance to make use of that.
Probably for the better.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, cool. I don't know if I've told my my parental game story. Have I? Maybe not on the podcast.
You may need to be more descriptive than that.
Well, you were talking about how your dad had only ever played one game.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Hated it.
We did have a podcast where we talked about it briefly, but I don't quite remember.
It's fine. I won't rehash. Just my dad's kind of the same. Leave it at that.
Yeah.
I have no faith I'd ever be able to get my parents to really play anything. My mom plays Dr. Mario. That's
yeah. Yeah, we totally had a conversation because both of our moms played Dr. Mario. And
yeah. Can you hear a kid screaming?
I did hear a kid scream.
Yeah, that's the reality of. See, even if you have even more space like I do, it's not that wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderfully soundproof.
Yeah.
Hey.
So, like I said, I did buy a new computer. I've decided. I've finally bought into the hype, I guess, or I don't know what's convinced me because I feel like I haven't really been paying attention to articles about VR and stuff, but I don't know. I for some reason got it in my head that I want to start playing around with VR. It's like, I guess what did it is I had started to watch a bunch of GDC videos.
I was doing that actually. I was listening to GDC videos while driving. But I had free data, and I don't now. So,
well, so because I do visual effects for a living, I don't know. I've been watching a bunch of videos from GDC for the past couple of years, and they were talking about. There was like 1 or 2 videos where they were talking specifically about doing visual effects for VR, and I guess it's a lot of memory restrictions and stuff, like just trying to get stuff to happen in real time. It's hard enough to do that, and that's part of the reason I enjoy having switched to games from film, is just the challenge of making stuff efficient. And it seems like it's just that much worse for games because it's like for VR, because when I was on Gears of War 4, we were doing multiplayer split screen, and we were aiming for 60 frames per second. So we had to optimize quite a bit, but when you're doing it for VR, effectively it's split screen. You've got to render things twice, once for each eye. But if you want to prevent people from getting motion sickness and stuff, you've kind of got to crank it up to 90 frames a second. So
you're double whammied.
Yeah, so it's, as I was like listening to these, and it started to become more interesting to me just from like a technical point of view of like the challenge of trying to do it, because it's like, I don't know, I think that's why I got into visual effects in the first place, is just the interest of having to do problem solving with art.
Well, I was just about to say, I mean, I think VR is the happy crossroads that really appeals to people like us who are kind of like technically creative, right? It's like, I mean, I imagine you're very much like me, where we kind of just want to do both of those, and they're very, we're mathematically smart, but you want to do something creative. It's not like, one or the other is not. It doesn't fully scratch that itch, maybe. So I totally understand. For me, it's almost weird that I'm less interested. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's. I don't know. I feel like, when it comes to this kind of project, maybe I'm too much of a lone wolf, or I like to work in small groups or something. But I guess just like off the top of my head, I feel like VR, like to make something really good in VR, just takes a lot of people, and that might not be true at all, and I might be just assuming that out of nowhere. But I feel less confident that I could join a small group, or even just work like myself or something, and make something of quality that I would be happy with.
I don't know.
Again, that might not be true at all. I might just be imagining it, but. That's kind of my blocker, I think. Yeah. Plus, I just don't have the gear and stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, for me, when I was originally coming at it, I was thinking of it in terms of like what as a consumer am I interested in, and I'm not really seeing anything. To be
like you're talking in terms of games,
yeah, like
or just
like
anything?
to be honest, there's just I haven't seen anything for VR so far that's been like I need to experience this.
Hmm.
And so that's why I had no interest. But you know, I think part of it as well is just having read through that untold history of Japanese game developers. I can't remember. Have you read that?
Yeah, I've read it. It's
So
been a bit, but
yeah, but so something that I think is really cool about that is that I so I'm not familiar with the majority of the games and stuff that's mentioned in there, but it's still interesting because they're interviewing people that were getting into the industry in like the late 70s, early 80s and stuff, and they're
yep.
kind of doing the same thing that I'm describing with VR, where they're just really working with the technical challenges of how do I get a sprite to animate and
Well,
stuff.
I actually found it fascinating because it was for me reading that it was a combination of that aspect where it's just like the era that they're working in was just so limited and so whatever, and it was also advancing so quickly, right?
Yeah.
And it was a mix of that and almost like kind of what you see in like the indie industry today, where it's like small groups coming together and just not knowing what the shit they're doing and just building
Yeah.
stuff in this rapidly advancing field. And it was, I mean, that was kind of mainstream then, right? I mean, of course you had big companies, but like there's games I remember playing when I was a kid, and you look it up now, and it's like the teams that made the games were just like tiny, like River City Ransom. I
Yeah.
mean, Technos, that company, was like working out of a 2-bedroom apartment. It was like 8 people or something. Like that's
Yeah.
basically an indie game company, and they made this game that we kind of grew up with that was really quite mainstream, right? So
Yeah.
reading the book was like, cool. It was like it was like being an indie developer back then or
Yeah.
something. And it's it's Japan, so there's that kind of quirky side to it. And yeah, I don't know. It was a fun read. So anyway, sorry, I
Yeah.
interjected.
No, but I mean that goes along with exactly what my point was going to be. Is that like I'm reading this stuff and it's like that world seemed kind of exciting, and you know we were talking a few weeks back about how you had gotten involved with the translation of Dragon Quest and stuff, and it I felt like I missed a lot of that world. Like I never got into doing ROM hacking really, and obviously I'm too old to have gotten into like professional game development in these early stages when there was like all these technical stuff. So it seems to me like getting in on VR right now is the closest that we can experience to that, because it is a new platform and it is
Yeah.
very technically limited right now, and it's an unexplored realm right now where there's just no AAA games for it at all right now. Like a lot of the stuff that's being made are these kind of like Tetris-y type experiences or just like walking simulators and stuff, and so I feel like there's a lot of room coming into it right now to just explore and maybe pave new territory, pave new ground.
Yeah.
So it's easy to, I don't know, I feel like using Unreal Engine and you want to work on a JRPG or something, like yeah, you're going to need to start getting a huge team, but maybe it is realistic to do some simple VR experiences that can be done with just a small team.
Awesome. Well, honestly, it's exciting to me to hear you say that. Like, I wish you the best of luck. I just think
Yeah.
you're right. It is like from that perspective, quite you missed it the first time around, but here
Yeah.
you are with perfect timing to jump in for this
Maybe.
this industry. Yeah, maybe, of course, but I mean, it'd be cool in 20 years to say, oh, I was there doing this, right? And it was me who did this thing that was a small team, but it took off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It seems interesting to me, and so I bought my laptop. I got it into my head that I wanted to do this. My laptop doesn't physically have the capability of doing VR, so in order to even attempt to do VR, I had to buy a new computer. So I've done that.
So now
And
you've committed. You have to move forward.
well, sort of. I mean, I haven't actually bought an Oculus or anything yet. So,
well, that was my next question. Is there any particular platform you're interested in? Or?
I was looking at it, and there's a couple of different options. There's I think right now the two main ones are the Vive or the Oculus, and
Vive is popular. Yeah.
Vive looks to be better, but
I
Oculus
hear a
looks to be
yeah.
more popular. So it's
Hmm.
almost to me like the difference of, do I want to develop something for Android or do I want to develop something for Apple, right?
Yeah.
And it's like the reality is that Apple is not necessarily a better product, but it's more popular.
Yeah. Well,
S-
depends what metric you look at that by, but
yeah, yeah,
yeah, sales of games in the store, I
yeah,
think is what we're talking, right? Yes, yes.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like I might. They're pretty similar priced, and I don't. I think the one advantage that Vive has for it is that it's kind of designed for open spaces. Like if you want to like
Hmm.
have a VR room set up and be able to move around in your space.
Right.
Um, I don't know that that's what I'm interested in personally. So I
Hmm.
don't know that that's a big selling point for me.
What I don't know how much you're willing to divulge, but what is it you're interested in?
Uh,
Or
you
has
know,
that solidified in your mind?
when I play a video game, uh, I've never been interested in like the Xbox Kinect or the Wii controllers and stuff. Like
Yes, me
the
too.
idea of standing up to do stuff is it's not why I play a video game.
Wii Sports, yeah, yeah.
You know, if I want to, like I would love to play paintball in reality, like running around in the field and shooting at people and stuff. Like that is fun, but I don't really want to do that with a video game in my house.
Hmm.
So to me the idea of having VR, I am completely in favor of having a game where I can still sit in a chair and not really move around and experience this stuff.
Right, right.
So I don't know. I can understand it making sense in the future, like when if I've got like a giant omnidirectional treadmill or something that I can move around on without bumping into walls and stuff. But it just doesn't make sense to me to like have a 4x4 foot area that you can move around in.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably, I don't know. I, I feel like optimizing, I don't know actually, but I just feel like the idea of all these people living in these enormous homes,
Yeah,
like, is that something that's still quite out there, or is it like increasingly less common? I mean, people are moving to the
I
cities.
I
You know,
think
you
it's
have all these
increasingly less.
business opportunities in developing countries, which people just have less living space. Like, you know, I know in like the 80s, you could market anything to like the whatever, this family in the suburbs, but I just feel like it's, I mean, maybe I'm full of shit, but
Yeah,
yeah, I would much prefer to market to a wider slice of humanity, I guess, and that's kind
yeah,
of a blocker to me.
yeah.
So I agree with you
So
for
I don't know.
perhaps other reasons.
I've a couple of ideas that I eventually want to try to make in VR, but in the meantime, my plan is to make some Houdini specific tutorials and try to earn some money on that to pay off what I've just spent on this computer. uh,
Rocket.
and and then once I've done that, I don't know, maybe just try making like the Star Trek chess game or something, like just for the sake of like figuring out how to do stuff.
Yeah. You'll have to learn the rules of the Star Trek chess game, though.
Yeah, that's the
Or do you
downside.
already know them?
No, I don't.
When I was a kid, I had like
But
a
it
Starlog magazine. Do you remember those?
no.
No, it doesn't really matter. But you could. It was just like a Star Trek
Yeah,
fanzine
yeah.
kind of. But you could actually order the 3D chess set, and so
Yeah.
they must have developed rules for it.
Yeah,
or
there
something.
are totally rules. I know the people have done it. So
Hmm.
that's why it seems worth doing to me. Is it would be a way for me to not have to do any game design.
Right.
I could just take some existing rules and try to make it work.
Got it. Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. Maybe that's what I'll get into or down the road.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I don't know. I wish I had some compliment to that that was interesting on my side. I mean, I feel. Did I tell you my neighbor growing up in Truro, like had a Kickstarter where he did
Yeah,
a Nintendo game? Yeah, so it's actually I don't know how you measure success, but he's doing much better than he expected. It's not an
yeah,
enormous number by any means that he's gotten, but it's like over double, I think,
yeah,
of his original target. So I don't know. I mean, here's this guy I knew growing up. He was there for the ROM hack stuff with me, and now he's making Nintendo games, and it's successful. And I don't know. I see that, and I think that'd be kind of cool just to hack around on, some silly little project. I always
yeah,
liked those kind of projects and like emulators, like on a technical level, the idea of building an emulator or just digging in and seeing how they work.
yeah,
It's not like a fascinating computer science problem. It's just kind of like, since I'm so interested in these old computers and how they work, just taking my modern, I don't know, technical ability and applying it and learning some things. And it's fun for me. So
yeah.
I feel like if I was to do a project, I don't know, maybe it's silly, but the idea of making a Nintendo game would be kind of fun, which is going backwards compared to your much more progressive
Yeah. Well, no,
approach.
I mean, to me, it makes sense, right? Because there's a lot of challenges, I think, in trying to optimize a VR experience, but I think a lot of that comes from the graphics of like, how do you make something look nice while still being efficient? But
Yeah.
I think for the most part, the code isn't going to be the issue with that. Whereas
Mm.
what you're talking about, and just to flesh this out a little bit more, what Matt's talking about here is he's got a friend from back in our hometown, Truro, who's currently got a Kickstarter going on for Eskimo Bob for the NES. It's got 23 more days to go at the moment. I'm just looking at the Kickstarter right now. And so I guess the whole idea is he's making a Nintendo game. Like I can't remember if his intent is to actually print it on a cart.
It is, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the idea is to actually print it on a cart, which means it's a fully functional NES game. So to me, from a programming point of view, that would be much more interesting because you've really got to make stuff optimized if you're gonna do all that. Because I forget exactly how many kilobytes can fit on a cartridge, but I remember specifically that the average JPEG has a larger file size than Super Mario Bros. Did.
Certainly. Oh, yeah. Maybe, yeah. Or like probably any. I forget. Yeah, I won't quote numbers and make a fool of myself, but they're tiny. They're tiny. Yeah.
So that was actually what I was hoping to get into with this. It was because we'd mentioned that the other day just in passing with that, and I haven't done much. I haven't really done any homebrew like you were doing. Were you messing around with graphics at all, or were you just doing translation sort of stuff?
Yeah, I don't want to exaggerate any of my accomplishments or anything, but I did mess around with that a lot. I never really
Right.
produced anything of merit, maybe, but yeah, I mean, it was it was quite easy to do actually. I mean, it would be easy enough to just open a game and hack its like sprites and stuff, but then you could also, if you had a little bit of know-how of how things work, you could change things around and how they work beyond just editing sprites directly.
So you
yeah,
were
that
doing
was fun.
specifically hacking though, right? Like you never actually
Yeah, a little bit.
You never actually did like any assembly language like programming of your own stuff from scratch.
I went through some tutorials. That's
Okay.
about it. No, I didn't. I didn't like. Yeah, nothing like that.
Okay. Because I mean, I'd played around a little bit with Little Sound DJ, which is someone made a homebrew app that you can use on your Game Boy, but that's not at all the same either. But I've always found that fascinating. I've been kind of interested in doing stuff like that too. Like
Interesting. Yeah.
Brian Brian Provinciano, who did Retro City Rampage. Like I remember him giving a talk either. I don't remember if it was at the Full Indie meetup in Vancouver or if it was at GDC or something, but I remember him talking one time about how when he started that project, it started as a homebrew thing. Like he built himself a Nintendo dev kit and that started as like a remake of Grand Theft Auto for the
Yeah.
Nintendo.
Crazy guy, man. I believe I've seen both as well. The full indie thing in Vancouver, as well as he definitely has a GDC video as well.
Right.
Yeah. And
But
then he went
yeah.
and ported it like everywhere, like to DOS. I mean,
Yeah.
geez, wow. Like, I can obsess about Famicom all day and be fascinated at the idea of porting a game to Famicom or making it on Famicom to begin with. But
Yeah.
man, I don't know, like all these porting to all these old systems and doing it yourself, man, crazy guy.
Yeah.
Crazy guy.
And it's interesting when you start to realize like the limitations that these different things had. Like, file size is one thing, but I was reading in that book there that like the NES couldn't on those platformer games they couldn't really do scrolling in both directions. Like you could scroll horizontally or you could scroll vertically.
They needed like special hardware to make it happen in the games that achieved it.
Yeah. But then they were also mentioning, I guess there was Mega Man games that got made for DOS, and they weren't originally supposed to be Mega Man games. It was just like a fan game type thing, and Capcom was like, okay, we'll make this into Mega Man 3.
Wow, that might be the coolest thing they've actually done.
So
Excellent.
it was apparently a shit game because it wasn't really
Okay,
supposed to be Mega Man, but
Mm.
because it was on DOS and it was this guy's personal project or whatever, like he actually had levels that scrolled in both directions. So it's interesting when you think of that and you make that connection. It's like, oh yeah, that's why that felt like it did, is like Mega Man only ever scrolled in the one direction.
Yep. Well, I remember Castlevania 3, like everyone
Yeah.
shitting their pants when you could. There's that part where you're like going up the stairs and it like scrolls in both directions.
Yeah.
I don't know, like it was. I think Mario 3, if I remember correctly, was the first.
Yeah,
game to
Mario
ever
3
do
did it.
Yeah, and it was like still so rare. So like for
Yeah.
another game to like achieve that or like do it, it's like, whoa, this series has finally made the jump to
Yeah.
bidirectional scrolling. Yeah. But I always found it fun because I mean, at the same time, like you're talking about the challenges and so forth. But
Yeah.
it almost like, so two things I could say with that, I guess, is like in some senses it was easier, right? Like
Yeah.
Again, I'm talking out of my ass. I've never built a Nintendo game, but if you develop for Nintendo, you have guaranteed deterministic hardware that's gonna it's gonna start at the same place in the ROM and just go. So you have a guaranteed, like it's just so easy to hard code everything and just make it work, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, I guess the other thing about those limitations is like it defined the look of the system, kind of, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, everyone was forced to adapt that style, but at the same time, here we are 30 years later, kind of nostalgic for it a little bit, right? So I don't know, it's I guess a double-edged sword in a way.
Well, yeah, I mean, when I say harder, I guess I mean it's like, if you want something that's like a Super Nintendo game, maybe there's some new hacks that you can figure out to get closer to that, but so it's challenging in that it is a set of limitations that you have to work within. But yeah, also that is something that's what's cool about it and fun about it, is that you have a limited palette.
Yeah. The companies that built games that pushed the envelope back in the day would be working like right around that challenge. I feel like a lot of people that go back now and want to like, make some retro style project or whatever, it's like they're obviously not necessarily doing that.
Yeah.
I think nowadays the challenge, of course, is going to be like tools and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, actually, probably
like
I'm
when
sure
you
the
have to
tools are
build
better
your own
than
dev kit.
ever, but you don't have the wealth of it's not easy to get a dev kit for this stuff, or like you're not in a room with like 20 other people that can help you do this stuff. It's just the knowledge isn't there in the standard developer anymore, or whatever, I guess.
Yeah, there's people that are trying to make the knowledge come back, at least. I've seen on Reddit 2 different people. There's one guy that's doing PlayStation 1 dev tutorials.
Nice.
And there's another guy that's doing Game Boy Advance tutorials.
Excellent. Yeah, I always appreciate that a lot. I feel like, I don't know, I make too much excuses for myself, but I just feel like it'd be a lot of fun to put more time into kind of taking part in those communities. I think.
Yeah.
I'm always so busy, blah blah blah, which I'm getting tired of saying. But like, I just feel like maybe I'll retire into that, be this like 90-year-old like hacking on NES games or something. It'd just be awesome, I think. So
hacking on VR.
yeah, that old VR thing. It's kind of like I don't know if you, I shouldn't say remember. I don't know if you know about like kind of the 3D movie phase that happened in the 80s. But like right around 83 or whatever, they started experimenting with 3D movies. So if you look at, especially in like horror movies, they'd like to do these like cheap thrills kind of thing. So like there was, I forget, I think Friday the 13th 3 and Jaws 3 and like all these ridiculous movies with their stupid 3D effects. And now when you get it on like DVD or TV, of course, there's no 3D effect. It was like the worst, even worse than the 3D kind of phase that happened 5 years ago. It's just super cheesy. It'll be like that, right? Like early VR.
Yeah, no, I remember it must have been like 97 or something. There was like a week where for some reason whatever TV station it was decided they were going to show all their shows in 3D, so you could get those blue and magenta glasses, cyan, magenta, whatever colors they are. So I remember there was like an episode of Home Improvement.
Oh God, less awesome, honestly.
And they're just like swinging like 2x4s at the screen on ladders and
just
shit.
cheesy bullshit. Right?
Yeah, it's just like,
God, brutal. Do you ever play Rad Racer?
I believe I have, but I don't remember it enough to have any sort of connection to.
Fair enough. Really early NES game. A lot of fun. You press select and it went into 3D mode, and it was exactly that, the red and blue shit.
Nice.
It was fun at the time. It was like, oh man, wicked. It worked for that technology has its limits, but
yeah. You know, the best usage I ever saw of that technology was the hint books for the Sierra Quest for Glory games.
Shit, you beat me to it, man. You beat me to it. I was going to say the best use I ever saw of that. As soon as you said the best use, in my mind immediately popped, I had this Nintendo sticker book. Yeah. And they did both. There was pages where there's stuff in 3D, but then you'd flip it, and there's one of those shut your right eye and you'll read the hint, and shut your left eye and you'll see where the secrets are, and like stuff like that. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was basically what it was. The book was all text, but it was all like, blue text and then red garbage all over top of it, and it was you wear those glasses and suddenly you can read it no problem.
Man, here, hold on. Keep talking. If you hear annoying typing, I have to find that Nintendo sticker book. That was so awesome. Nintendo sticker book 3D. I don't know if that'll. That's looking. Well, I don't know. I'll find it later. It was awesome.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I've worked on stereo films as well. Like and yet my favorite reason for 3D films right now to even exist is just so that it makes it easier for me to get into a 2D film without having to wait in line.
Nice.
I just saw Guardians of the Galaxy 2 last week, and because I went to see it with some friends, they convinced me to see it in IMAX in 3D, and I hate that experience. I hate going to IMAX films and wearing glasses on top of my glasses, and shit's just like, you have to keep your head 100% upright, because if you tilt it to the side at all, everything just goes haywire. And I don't know.
I don't know that. Have you ever met anyone who's enthusiastic about that?
I've met a couple people, and
really?
I think they're crazy personally.
Yeah, I've never heard of anyone like super excited for 3D movies. Everyone I know shuts the 3D off in the 3DS. I think I turned it on a little bit for Cave Story because I was like, okay, it just has like 2 planes. It's like about as much as I can tolerate. But yeah, I don't know. It's not for me, definitely. Yeah. Which, coming back to the VR topic, I don't know. The whole like headset thing really always turned me off. Even like, is it Vive? I forget. Maybe it was. I don't think it's Oculus. I think it's Vive. I just found it to be the most uncomfortable headset of all of them. I don't know
Yeah.
what your experience is. It's just like it's like designed to kind of like if you put a helmet on, it's a helmet. It surrounds your whole head and just sits there. Like I can look
Yeah.
at the ground and it's still on my head. Like I found Vive is like I don't know why they designed it that way, but like the back of the kind of helmet like ends at the top of your head kind of.
Yeah.
And it slides off so easy for me. And like if I look at my feet, it's going to fall on the floor. It's more
Yeah.
like a mask or something, but with no, like you don't have the string around your ears or whatever. I don't know. It's just weird for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I know. Hopefully, it doesn't end up just being a big, frustrating waste of money for me to get this computer.
Well, hey, powerful computer. You can, I don't know, play games on it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that was part of the reason for it too, is just with the video card I've got in there now, you know, at least I can be doing 3D and doing screen captures at the same time and stuff. So or eventually making like Unreal tutorials or something and screen capturing at the same time. So
Yeah. Got it.
hopefully I get my use out of it, but
well, I don't know. What are you upgrading from?
I had a laptop, which was it was an off-brand thing. The brand's called Segue.
Okay.
So it's a kind of a smaller company. So they I don't know. I guess price stuff better because they're not Apple. So if I'd bought an equivalent machine from Apple, it would have cost me a lot more. But I think it had just 16 gigs of RAM and it was quad core and it had an NVIDIA card, but you know it's a laptop. So it was good. I could do visual effects and stuff in it. It's served me well and would continue to serve me well, but it's just you literally can't do VR with it. So
I hear you. Yeah, I was kind of slightly in the market for a new computer, and just poking around.
Yeah.
Apple stuff costs too much. Like a top of the line computer, I mean top of the line, yeah, but it's like $3,000. Like the same computer, like just like a Linux box or something, like a Linux laptop is like $1,200. Like, I honestly, I'm not anti-Apple like a lot of people are. I like their stuff. It's designed well. It looks nice. Some of the features and the ideas they have are cool and so on. But I don't know. Not all of them are cool. And I don't know. It's just hard to justify that extra, like, $1,300 markup or whatever you always see.
Yeah. The Apple tax.
The Apple tax. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that we're getting to the end of our podcast here.
We are. What did we talk about? What was the topic today? We just kind of jumped around, which is cool. It's cool for me.
It was actually supposed to be about homebrew stuff, so we discussed most of it, and the other stuff can just wait till another time to get casually mentioned.
Indeed.
So
shall we? I was going to say, shall we finalize on what games we've been playing and so on?
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
Nice.
So what are you starting now that you've? Are you going to play through Contra start to finish?
No. Well, it's fun, but like I can't get past the start of the second level on multiple tries. On easy, I can like kind of get into it, but I never. If I beat the game on easy, I'd be like, did I really beat this? Yeah. I'm gonna start playing Spirit Tracks. I'm flying through the Zeldas, and by flying through, I mean kind of slowly playing, but in order. I'm just
playing through 2 a year.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I guess I'm not really flying at all. Actually, in order, the next one for me to play is Four Swords, but since I guess have no friends, I can't play it. So I'm trying Kia to play it with me. You what?
My buddy who's got who I said I was going over there and we beat Mario 3. He's actually got a Wii U, so he actually picked up the latest Zelda and we gave that a shot.
What is it? The Triforce Heroes or whatever?
No. Breath of the Wild.
The latest. Oh, okay. Yeah. What do you think?
It seems cool. I only put it like less than half an hour into it, so I can't really fairly comment. But yeah, I mean it seems to be what all the kiddies are looking for these days. A nice open world experience that can last you for a long period of time.
Yeah. Did I tell you I knew someone at Nintendo and they can just get me a Switch whenever I want?
Yeah, I think you bragged about that a few times.
It sounds like bragging, but honestly, I was thinking about it lately, and I'm thinking like, I'd probably get it, and then I get the one Zelda game, and I'm like so busy lately with work and whatever, and all these projects, I
Yeah.
want to do blah blah blah. So I'd probably get it and be excited about it and play it for an hour the first night, and then like 20 minutes a week for like 3 months. Like I'm just thinking, it's cool, but I might as well just kind of chill out a bit. So
Yeah,
I don't
just
know if I'll actually pick it up.
just wait till they release their new model next year.
Yeah, exactly.
With the better battery life and stuff.
Pretty much. Yeah. So I don't know what's next on your list.
I finished Suikoden 2, and I am still working my way slowly through Persona 4.
Right on.
So I'm about 45 hours into that right now, which is apparently a little bit more than halfway through the game.
Damn long games
So
these days, man.
Yeah.
Also, I think your slowly and my slowly are very different things. I don't
Well,
know. I've timed out a little bit on like, if I just had like a Saturday to myself, of course I'd like play Zelda for a few hours and it'd be awesome. But like where I'm cramming, like it's like, oh, I'm on the shuttle now. This is my chance to play games. Like it gets less fun when it's like I'm desperately trying to shove game time in every crevice of my schedule. So
yeah.
I'm just kind of chilling out for a little bit. So I don't know how fast I'll go with Spirit Tracks, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So I mean, when was I doing it? Currently playing. So I
Persona
think
4.
Oh, I've moved it back and forth on my to-do list a few times here. But I believe I originally started playing that around March 17th.
And you put 45 hours in? I mean, I probably put 45. Well, the first couple months this year, I was doing an average of like an hour and a half a day, which
Yeah.
thinking about it now I certainly haven't been doing that lately. So
Yeah. So it's
impressive.
been, I don't know. I guess it's been 2 months, so that's been about 60 days. So 45 hours over 60 days is, it's chipping away at it slowly, but it's not excessive.
That's fair. How many hours a night do you sleep?
Do I sleep?
Yeah.
I try for 8.
Jeez, man, I have no idea how you fit that time in. I got a Fitbit lately. So I left, as you know, I switched companies. At my old company, they had what's the word I'm looking for? Like exercise equipment benefit where they'll buy you X amount of athletic equipment every year or whatever.
Yeah.
I had no idea, and I could just let it go to waste. But I thought, whatever. So I got a Fitbit, and it measures your sleep.
Yeah.
I have the worst sleep ever. I haven't cleared 6 hours yet. Literally.
Wow.
It's like, it's like 5.5, 5:45. Lots of
Nice.
fives.
Nice.
Yeah, not really.
Well, I am going to continue to pick away at that, and I think now that I've finished reading my ebook, I'm going to go back to playing a game on transit. So I think I'm going to start playing Final Fantasy Tactics tomorrow.
Like the original?
Yeah, War of the Lions.
Cool.
So
Cool.
the PSP remake.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll keep you posted on my Zelda / Contra adventures.
Nice.
We'll see how it goes.
All right.
All right, man. Cheers.
Yeah, good talking. Catch you later.
Yeah, take care.